Hello YouTubers, today I want to do an after the hike video. So as you've seen in the previous video, we hiked, did a camp on the Backbone Trail in Kisatchie National Forest. So I wanted to share some thoughts on making the video and the experiences of hiking the trail, and also have at the Trinity share his thoughts on the hike. First, I want to talk a little bit about the video, or making the video. That was hard. It was a lot harder than I was expecting it to be. I had bought a gimbal to use to make filming easier and help steady the camera so it's not as jerky. It worked great, but it was heavy. And after about the 2.5-3 mile mark, I don't remember exactly where it was, I had tripped and decided, okay, don't want to. I'm not going to be able to use the gimbal to film. So, and I need to start using my trekking poles. So the first, 2.5 miles of the hike, I got great footage of us walking along on that first section of the trail, and then from there on, I wasn't able to, because not using the gimbal, I wasn't able to film as much. As far as the trail, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I was actually able to do it. It's been 25 years since I was in the Army, and I haven't done any hiking or backpacking in that time, so I'm pretty out of shape. But I was actually able to do it, and I had my doubts. It was exhausting for me, and after that first day at the end of when we got to found our campsite and set up, I slept good in my hammock. that first section of that trail, because we started at the north end of the trail and did it clockwise around. That first section is a long ways before you get. It's about 4 miles before you get to a water source, and so you got to make sure you have a lot of water with you. Another problem we had for that first section along that trail, where it's on that ridge line, the map is pretty spot on with the location of the trail. But after that, we found that and we're using the latest U.S. Forest Service maps, and we found that where the trail and where we actually were widely off through that whole rest of the trail. So that got to be a little bit confusing. I mean, you're walking along, you see the trail, you see the blazes, you know you're in the right spot, but your GPS and your physical maps are showing the trail in a completely different spot. And if you go back and look at the video in the spots where I posted, screen grabs, you can see the differences in where the trail is as compared to where we actually, where it shows it on the map. And at the end, you'll notice that that last little screen grab I got, it shows, it says maximum speed was 44 miles an hour. That last mile of the road trip, somebody was nice enough and gave us a ride, so that's why that's got so high. Well, anyway, I think I'll hand it over to Trinity and let him share some of his thoughts now.
Well, my thoughts on the hiking trip that we just got back from is mainly that you need to be prepared for water usage on this trail. There is water on the trail, but it all seems to be at one end of the trail. So you have to choose wisely which end you start, and have enough water storage to make it through the various sections. You know, you should also be prepared to walk a considerable distance back to your vehicle after you complete the trail. And depending on what time of the day, you know, be prepared to walk in heat and sun. I recommend that if you're going to attempt this trail, that you try to do it during the early spring or winter or fall, because during the summer it's probably pretty hot on that trail. With the issues of water being a concern, you know, you would be better off doing it when you would be perspiring a lot less. But other than that, the trail was easy. There's a few spots where you're sort of up and down some pretty steep hills, but your average person should be able to handle it. So it's not technically difficult. It's more strenuously difficult for somebody who's not used to hiking such a trail. As far as campsites, there's plenty of campsites along the trail, though we noticed that a lot of them were either in areas where insects would be an issue, or were so far away from water that you'd have to hike a considerable distance to a water source if you were going to stay there for longer than, you know, an overnight. One thing to be aware of is that you know, what you see on the trail maps versus where the trail actually is can vary. The trail's been rerouted a couple times over the years since the maps were made and are updated, and you may find that where you're actually at is not where the trail is marked on the map. Also, there are trails that have been allowed to overgrow and are no longer accessible, like the Explorer Trail. I'd hoped to stay on that trail, and we ended up discovering that you know, it no longer existed anymore. But other than that, lots of good views and sights, and you know, I highly recommend it for anybody who's preparing for a larger hike out of the state. You know, if you want a good taste of a more rugged trail, you know, say like doing the AT or going into the mountains of New Mexico or Colorado, it's a good preparatory trail to get your body used to that. You know, that's basically, you know, my observations, and you know, hopefully this is helpful to you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please click the like button. If you'd like to see more, click subscribe. Please also consider supporting us on Patreon so that we can continue to make more of these videos. And you can also join us on our Discord server. The links will be in the description below.